Aloha, George Kriska with Honolulu HI. Today we're going to talk about closing of escrow. In a different segment we talked about contingencies in a contract. Those are conditions that need to be satisfied or events that need to take place before a party is obligated to move forward with the contract. Now once all contingencies are satisfied or removed, means buyer and seller have fulfilled all conditions of the contract. That's when we set up the signing for the buyer and the seller to sign all escrow documents, escrow closing documents. That includes the conveyance document, which is the deed, and it may include loan documents that the buyer may have to sign. Besides the signing and getting the documents notarized, all the funds need to be in escrow. And this is the peculiar thing in Hawaii. Hawaii is a good funds state. That means all funds need to be received by escrow no later than 2 business days prior to recordation, prior to closing. Now that may be different in your state, but that's the way it is in Hawaii. So signing and funds need to be with escrow, need to be completed 2 business days prior to recordation. Now what does it mean, good funds? It means escrow will have to have the funds, and they need to have cleared. Means if the buyer brings in his last deposit with a personal check, that's no good. It needs to be a cashier's check, or it needs to be a wire, and the lender usually wires the funds in. So it needs to be good funds received by escrow. Now, once all escrow closing documents are signed and all deposits are deposited with escrow 2 business days prior to recordation, escrow will review the file and take it to the Bureau of Conveyance by the next business day, which is 1 day prior to recordation. The Bureau of Conveyances reviews the file, makes sure everything is proper, and the following day the transaction gets recorded. So that's the day of closing or recordation. On the actual date of recordation, the conveyance document gets time-stamped. They all get the same stamp. It's 8:01 a.m. in the morning. And that's when it gets recorded. Now, we don't actually get the confirmation that it has recorded. And they don't all get stamped at 8:01, but they receive the same stamp. So sometimes shortly after 8 o'clock in the morning or 8:01 a.m. in the morning, we usually get a phone call from the escrow company that the transaction has successfully recorded or closed. And that phone call may not come until maybe 10 o'clock or sometimes 11 o'clock or sometimes close to 12 noon. But when we get recordation clearance, when we get that phone call, that's when everything is done. Escrow will disperse the funds, they close the file. They may pay any remaining balances, any remaining invoices, I should say, that were supposed to be paid through escrow. And the buyer is entitled to the keys, and the seller is entitled to the proceeds, to his share of the sales proceeds. Now, getting the keys, I need to just talk a little bit about that. Sometimes buyers think, well, they get the keys at 8 o'clock in the morning. We still have to wait until recordation clearance. So if you're the buyer and you schedule some service provider or the movers for 8 o'clock in the morning, we may not get the keys. The seller may not provide us with the keys until we have recordation clearance. So make sure to schedule any service appointments until we have recordation clearance, usually before 12 o'clock. And that's it for today. Thanks for watching. Until next time.